Welcome to Building Healthy Relationships, the 4 Habits podcast, helping you enjoy better harmony at home, thrive at work, and win at life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Andrea and Jon Taylor-Cummings, recognized authorities on the subjects of improving work relationships and cultures, as well as couple and home relationships.
Welcome back to the B-side, as we promised, of the podcast, Why Can't They Just Be More Like Me? And what we wanted to do was just bring the conversation about differences and how to embrace difference. We wanted to bring that alive by sharing 2 or 3 examples of how we've seen it play out, especially in the workplace. And maybe you want to kick off, Jon, with the experience with that medical group.
Absolutely. It was so powerful just to see them talk about it. So we did some work with a group of medics.
Yeah.
And they wanted to understand a bit more about each other. And it was part of an away day they had, wasn't it?
They were leading a practice, weren't they?
Leading a practice,
Yeah.
and they wanted to look at the strategy and how they move forward, etc. What was really interesting is we did the personality model with them. And we had them do self-report, do it themselves, and then took them through an analysis of it. And what was really interesting to see was, profile-wise, there were mainly golden retrievers and beavers, which, when you think about it, shouldn't be that big a surprise.
No, because
So
that's
this
nurturing.
This is nurtures. They're caring for people. They care about people.
And the attention to detail, which goes with giving
This is
good
lives we're
medical
talking
care.
about now, so you've got to be very careful and be detailed. So should have been no surprise, but it was really interesting to see it come through in the results.
Yeah.
Because it was sort of, 80% of them were very high in golden retriever and beaver. There was some lion in there as well. Not very much on the otter front.
But probably just one person.
Yeah.
And
But
that was
That
the
was
point.
that was absolutely the point, because they also realized that they were struggling to recruit new people in this world now. It's a very competitive world, trying to get talent, and they were struggling to recruit junior doctors.
Well, if you unpack that some more, it's the long hours and the kind of sacrifices and commitment that you need to make as a doctor. Values have changed a lot, especially post-COVID, and people want more flexibility. So they were
Exactly.
struggling under the old guard, I suppose, the expectation of this is how we did it in our years as junior doctors. So this is how
Yeah.
any junior doctor should expect
Going
to
to the
do
market
life.
now and just saying, this is how we've done it in the past. We want to just do the same thing. Will you come and be a doctor with us? People are like, nope, I want something different. I want more flexibility.
That's not my life.
I'm going to vote with my feet. So they realized actually that there had been some suggestions that had come in from some of these, the one otter, I think, or a couple of otters in the wider team, but they hadn't really given them the due attention, and quite often those ideas were shot down. So actually there was a realization from their side of, actually, we're not naturally those otters, those creative people, those lots of different ideas
The
people.
innovators, that's not them.
So we need to listen to
And
those people more.
That's the point.
Listen
Made
to
it
them
hard
more.
to hear them.
Made it hard to hear. Listen to those people more. Give them more time, because that's absolutely what they needed to succeed in the world going forward. Yes, they needed the skills of their golden retriever and their beaver, but they needed the otter skills as well in there. So it was really interesting for them to do that exercise and realize, yes, we've got our strengths, but we've got some blind spots, some serious blind spots, which could impact our business going forward.
And that
let's do something about it.
That just underscores the point that whenever you have this predominance of 1 or 2 personality types or 1 or 2 groups of people as the majority, it's so easy to silence or exclude or not hear the minority voice, even if that's exactly the voice and the perspective that you need to come up with a better solution. And in this case, that's exactly what they needed. The person who was coming up with the more creative, innovative ideas of how they could do things going forward wasn't even heard, and actually gave up making those suggestions because it just didn't fit with the way everybody else thought.
Yeah.
So it was good that they got it, and they left thinking we need to give more space.
We had a blind spot. So, unrecognized blind spots is a big old thing. You had another brilliant example of that, didn't you, when you did some work with the armed forces a little while ago?
That and thinking about it is the same message, but a different experience.
Different expression, yeah.
So with the armed forces, there was this leadership group of about 8 people. As it happened, they were all 8 white middle-aged men. Looking on the group, you would think there is no diversity. They're all on the same page. But as you observed the kind of body language, 7 of them went off to one table and one guy sat by himself. So being somebody who's very attuned to behavior change and culture, that got
spotted
my
it.
attention. And it played out when we did the personality profiles, because the 7 who were together were the natural lions, the kind of, and maybe otters as well, the go-getters, eat challenges for breakfast, get things done, that kind of let's get on and let's make it happen personality. The one guy was very much the beaver, the attention to detail, let's not move until we've crossed every T, dotted every I. And as it played out, what was happening was he was excluded from the group. He wasn't seen as a fun guy to be around. He was always the party pooper, the one saying, no, you can't because of the research, or be careful of this, or watch out for this. He was their safety valve and they didn't realize it. But when we plotted the team against the different areas of strength, there was a big gaping hole around risk and safety, except for this one guy. And in a heartbeat, they all said, oh my gosh, we need to be more like him. We need to give more space to hear what he's saying. And, you're talking about the armed forces, risk and safety is a big deal.
Absolutely.
And he was the only one who was paying attention to those things. And, you could see him inflate. It's like he finally got the respect, the attention, the sense of value for the skills that he was bringing just by going through this personality profiling exercise and seeing where there was a blind spot. And this one guy, even though he was kind of chewed up a bit because of just the comments, microaggressions really that he had to be dealing with all the time just to do his job well, they realized that they were giving him a hard time and not appreciating the strength that only he
had
was
something
offering.
they didn't have,
yeah,
and something the business absolutely
needed for sure.
Yeah. And we see that all the time. So there's another example we wanted to share with you of neurodiversity, which is clearly a conversation that's being had in lots of organizations at the moment. The recognition that people are wired differently, they think differently. How do we get to work together? And there's this one client we had, didn't we, who she was sharing with us how she thinks differently, and she has this amazing ability to analyze lots and lots of data. So, if there's a big problem, they have a big problem to solve, and there's lots of data around it. She can literally, in one evening, read through 100 research documents and just blitz it and come up with a solution. This is what we need to do. Most people, that would take them days, if not weeks, to go through it. They'd read a few. You might read 5-10 articles. You're bored. You put it down. She just has this natural ability to just stick to it and just make sense of the data. That's what she does. Her brain is wired in that way. Now, she recognizes it's a real superpower, but equally, she recognizes there are other things that don't ask her to do them.
Yeah.
She is just not good at project management, at delivering. So, yes, we've now got the idea of what we need to do. Go on.
And I was going to say, and even how she speaks to people sometimes.
Exactly.
They have such a safe environment and such a strong team culture that she's given her colleagues permission to call her out whenever she says something that lands badly, because
she knows that
she doesn't have that awareness.
Yeah, but what's really helpful there is recognizing her superpower and her manager recognizing her superpower. What the manager does is he always makes sure he surrounds her with people that can help.
Yeah, she has a team. Wherever she goes,
dedicated. Wherever she goes, it's a team of 3. She has project manager. I can't remember the third person is as well.
More admin, I think.
More admin, okay. Yeah. But she is bringing this superpower. Don't ask her to do other things. She might be able to do some. She would really struggle with some of them, like the delivery, the project management, etc. But together, that team of 3 always delivers powerful results. So really just understanding that some people are wired differently and giving them the space in which to work in their strength, and not punishing them because they can't do other things. Because if you punish them for the other things and they end up leaving the organization, you're going to miss out on that real superpower that they have and they're bringing to the party. So some really, really powerful examples there. And we have these examples. We've given you 3 work examples there. We've had examples of this in our domestic relationship as well. How differences can play out. It's what got us into this and really helped us move forward. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's how we have learned to divide roles between us, for example. So you'll do some of it is assumption, the difference in assumptions we had over, what the husband should do or what the wife should do. But you'll do more of the
The husband
numbers
should do the
based.
easy things and the wife the difficult things. Isn't that right?
Yeah, but who determines what's easy? So you naturally do more of the admin, licenses, finance, the numbers, and so on, don't you?
Well,
In the way that we ran the business together.
because of the detail stuff that I'm used to doing, and I enjoy doing, because when it comes to working on even the finances around the house, I'll work through spreadsheets and put everything together and do all the analysis in there, which you can do as well. I just get more I would say satisfaction out of doing it, but it's just I'll do it and I'll enjoy playing with the spreadsheet and getting stuff out of it. Where after a while, I think you're kind of done with that.
Yeah, once I get the bottom line, I'm not interested in the detail.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, that's one example. There are loads of examples we could share. There's another one I was thinking of earlier back in our relationship when we were out at at the Bedouin camp on a trip, one holiday trip to Egypt. I think it was. Yeah, it was Egypt, with the Bedouins there, and there was a activity going on after dinner, which
around the circle,
dancing around the fire, bonfire. We'd eaten. Now is time to go and dance around the bonfire. Which Andrea thought, what a great idea, and I thought, what a silly idea. What do you want to go do that for? But back then, she was trying to get me to go with her. So, come on, John, let's go, pulling my hand. Let's go dance around the fire. I'm like, no, that's not really my thing. Anyway, what we realized very quickly, thankfully, what was going on here was a personality difference.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't you go and have fun, and I'll stay here and watch. And she went and she loved it, dancing around the fire, and I loved watching her dance around the fire. But if she had persuaded me to go with her and dance, and I had gone, I'd have been miserable
and upset with me after,
and upset with her after. So it wouldn't have really worked. So what really worked was to understand that we had differences, different expectations of what was going to be fun, and allowing each other to just do what was the fun thing for us.
Yeah, allowing us the space to just enjoy it the way that we enjoyed it best.
Yeah.
So many more examples that we could share, but I think we're gonna wrap it there, really by sharing the essence of what we're talking about. There are 5 key things that we identify as being the real benefits of understanding differences, especially personality differences, using this simple animal model. The first is the model, because you can carry it in your head, allows you to have a common language and a way of describing your experiences that the other person gets. So we'll say to each other, okay, you've been a little bit too lion here, meaning one or the other of us has been a little bit too pushy, a little bit too opinionated, and in a heartbeat we know we need to soften, we need to leave room for somebody else's perspective. So it really helps to create this common language for communicating and understanding each other better. It also helps us get the point, which we know intellectually, but we don't tend to get in a way that we live it out. And it's that there's our view of the world, and there are at least 3 others.
At least 3. They could be 15, 16, depending on which model you use, but there are at least 3 for your one view.
Actually, there are 7 points, how many billion in the world. There's so many different views.
We're all unique.
So just knowing this model helps us see that we're positioned here and people can be positioned somewhere else and leave space for different voices. That's the second point. The third point is, depending on how we're wired, our personality tendencies, we'll see different things. We'll have different priorities. There'll be different things that we focus on. So in a meeting, one person might be focused on the numbers or what's the bottom line impact. Somebody else will be focused on, but what's the bigger picture? What are we trying to get to? Another person will be saying, what's the impact on the people? How will it leave them feeling? Can we, will they come along with us? So lots of different viewpoints that can create a richer discussion, but we need to recognize that people will have different priorities and different focus areas, so we can hear each other better.
I was going to say, and different expectations. So when you're under pressure, sometimes something has to give.
Yeah.
And either it's you deliver at 100%, or you deliver at 100% and you're late, or you deliver at 80% and you're on time.
Yeah.
And people will choose differently depending on their personality type. And the question is, what do you need for this particular situation?
Yeah.
So just understanding that's also very important.
And being able to hear the different voices will help you to make the better choice, because you'd have considered it from lots of different angles. So the third thing is priority areas. The fourth thing is people who are your diametric opposites, meaning they have totally different strengths, totally different blind spots, they're just wired so differently to you, they're likely to be the most frustrating people to work with because they're just so different. You don't get each other at all. But the fifth thing is, if you could just
There you go.
develop the skills to work through those differences, your diametric opposites, people who you think you're just not on the same page and you can't get, they're likely to make the best teammates because they will have strengths that aren't even on your radar. So that grating, that frustration, whenever you find it difficult to work with somebody, we really need to learn to push through that and discover what strengths are they bringing that we can't even see. We're not even aware that it's a skill area that we're missing or a gift, an ability that we're missing. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's absolutely it. Of the examples that we've shared, I think that makes the point here. And the recognition is there is real strength in differences. Without those differences, there are loads of blind spots we've got to watch out for. So again, we said in side A, the wrong question we're asking is, why can't they just be more like me? That question is absolutely not the question we should be asking here. We should be saying, how can we have more difference around us? How can we surround ourselves with people who think differently, act differently, process differently, approach things differently, if we want to get the best result? Because that's where the real magic comes, when you have those differences. Now, as Andrea said, having those different people around us means we've got more challenge because they approach things differently. And like, why are they doing it like that? We've got to get over those challenges. But if we can do that, then we get to the point where we can now start to work in harmony, and we can actually close those gaps and identify things that we wouldn't have thought of on our own and take things to the next level. So really important to do that.
Yeah, it's about leveling up our relational skills so that we can do the problem solving and the innovation and creativity around issues we haven't even realized we need to address yet. But as the world moves fast, becomes more global, more diverse in our client base, customer base, employee base, the better we need to get at embracing difference and still creating that environment where we can all thrive, work together to give off our best and come up with the best solutions.
Absolutely. So there you go. So there was a little B-side. We thought we'd add that one in there, give you some of the practical examples to really make the point, drive that home. But again, the question shouldn't be, why can't they be more like me? It really should be, what else can we be doing to have difference around us and get the best results that way?
Yeah.
So thanks for being with us, and see you in the next episode.
See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you did, and you want to hear more, the best thing to do is subscribe. Then you'll never miss an episode. There's a new one every Friday. You can stay connected with us on social media at The 4 Habits for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and to participate in discussions related to the show. We always love to hear from you. And of course, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review on your preferred platform to allow us to reach more listeners and help people around the globe radically transform the way they do relationships so they too can enjoy better harmony at home, thrive at work, and win at life.